Hey guys, it's Eddie, and today I am back with another movie review for you all. Now today's movie I am very happy to be reviewing for you all because it is one of my favourite movies of all time, and since it is now October, it seems like the perfect time to be reviewing it because even though it's only the 5th, it is the 5th, right? Time is not my friend. Even though it's only the 5th, we are in the month of Halloween, so it feels only right to be bringing you all a horror movie, even though I've done loads of horror movies so far, but I seem to think that this one is particularly poignant. But like I said, it's one of my favourites. So here I am with my Sharon Needles bag in the background, as you can see. Any fans of RuPaul out there? Here I am, I'm one of you. So without further ado, the movie that I will be reviewing for you all today is The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick. Now, this movie is, of course, stars the amazing, brilliant and renowned Jack Nicholson, along with Shelley Duvall. And it is if anyone who hasn't seen it or read the book, most famously and brilliantly written by one of my favourite authors, Stephen King. If anyone hasn't read the book or seen the film, basically the story centres around a family, Jack Torrance and his wife Wendy and his 5-year-old son Danny, and they arrive at the Overlook Hotel just at the beginning of the winter season when everything's shut down until they reopen in the spring, because Jack has just taken the new job as the caretaker at the hotel. He's a writer, so he's going to use this opportunity to write as well as work, and he's taking his opportunities. And while at the hotel, some very strange occurrences start to happen, and little Danny, actually finds out that he has something called the Shining, which is revealed to him by the cook, who tells him that he also has the Shining. And Danny is then able to see things from the past, see things that are not there, little imprints of things that have happened in the hotel, and he starts to realise, bless him, that it's not a very nice place. And before he knows it, things start happening to his dad that are really kind of unwelcome, and it all kind of unfurls from there. Now, this is an adaptation of a Stephen King novel. They aren't the easiest things to adapt, as the history of film has shown. And I do think, because, well, this is a Stanley Kubrick film, and I think it's one of the better Stephen King adaptations. I think it remains as one of the most famous and one of the best horror movies of all time. Well, that's just my opinion, but it is regarded as a very good horror film. And it's Stanley Kubrick. He's such a famous director, and his craft is, he's brilliant at what he does, or he was. Rest in peace. And basically what is so brilliant about his direction is that even though it's a horror film, it is the most poignant and sort of eerily beautiful direction. There are some amazing shots. At the beginning we get the sort of long winding aerial shots of the car going up to the hotel, which is sort of coupled with this really almost excruciatingly creepy music, which sort of dips in and out of tune, and it's just horrible. And also, those famous shots of, the dead twins down the corridor that Danny sees, and, the elevator just gushing blood when it opens its doors. Those famous shots that just remain in your mind are so poignant, and they just never go away. You never forget images like that. And I think that is an element that Stanley Kubrick brings fantastically to this film. When you watch it, you will not forget it, because the imagery within it is just phenomenal. I think that Jack Nicholson in the role of Jack Torrance is brilliant. He is able to bring that sort of crescendo of madness to an absolute boiling point, and he's able to do it so brilliantly. I'm just like, please, you're scaring me. You know, when he's wielding that axe, you know, you are sort of sat there watching it, sort of thinking, my gosh, this man has become unhinged. But you do get a sense of feeling sorry for him, because I think you get this more from the book, obviously, because it delves more into the sort of personal, you know, psychological side of things. And it's obviously in more detail, but in the book, especially, which is sort of, you get an air of it from the film. You get the sense that this is a man who just wants to be successful at what he does, and he's going there to write. And when this all starts happening to him, he doesn't even realise that things are going wrong. And yeah, you do feel sorry for him, because it's so unfortunate that he came to this hotel out of everything else, and now he's being taken over by, you know, deadly spirits, and it's not good. But Jack is amazing in the role. I think Jack is just amazing in everything, really, and this movie is no different. I do remember reading that Stephen King wasn't really happy with the way that he played Jack Torrance, and he said the reason for that was that he played him almost immediately unhinged or immediately mean. And I kind of get what he's saying. The air that I get from Jack Nicholson in the role of Jack in the film is that in the beginning he's sort of the way he acts towards his family is sort of, they grate on him a little bit. So he's kind of like just sort of going along with it, like when they're in the car and stuff going to the hotel, he doesn't seem that engaged with it all. But I don't really mind. I mean, we don't see normal Jack for a lot of the film, so we mainly see Mad Jack. But I think his sort of transition from, you know, sort of slightly aggravated family man to axe-wielding murderer is nevertheless a fantastic one. I think Jack plays it really well. And I can slightly understand, you know, from reading the book as well, that why Stephen King was annoyed at the time, but you can make your mind up on that. You might agree with him, you might not. I don't know. I'm happy with what I got from Jack's performance in the film, so that's fine. I think that Wendy, played by Shelley Duvall, is she's certainly not the characteristic horror bimbo. She is very sort of shrill and very shrieky, and she sort of exists in this film to be an annoyance to Jack. And but that all seems purposeful when you see him sort of snag and snap, and you see how the hotel is affecting him. But also, in the end, what I like about Wendy and the way that Shelley Duvall portrays her is she actually portrays her as very smart. Like, in the end, when they escape from Jack and the hotel, we sort of see her really sort of smart, cunning, you know, forward-thinking side come out of her, and that's really cool. Yeah, I think Danny Lloyd, who plays little Danny Torrance, is brilliant in the role for such a young boy, and yeah, he's fantastic. He's sort of exactly how you imagine Danny. He's sort of adorable, and that makes you even more, you know, afraid that something terrible is going to happen to him, and you know, it really makes you relieved when things come out all right. The one thing I will say about this adaptation from the novel is that it's not extremely accurate. There are parts of the book which are completely cut out, and they're quite frequent, to be honest. But I can sort of see why Stanley Kubrick did that. So, for example, in the book there are, you know, scenes with the hedges that are shaped like animals, and they come to life and they attack Danny. And I kind of understand, for a film that was made in 1980, why that wasn't included in the film. And I also understand because I think that maybe might have detracted away from the creepiness of the film and the hotel, because the overall vibe of The Shining is it's creepy, it's eerie. I don't actually get full on scared by it, and I don't think I ever have. You know, I've never watched The Shining and thought I can't sleep, but nevertheless it's chilling. And I think maybe, you know, scenes like with the animal hedges may have detracted from that. So I understand why Stanley Kubrick may have made that decision. There are some definite, you know, elements of the film that he could have put in, such as the parts of the book where Danny envisioned, you know, mafia blood stains on the walls and, you know, gang shootings and stuff like that. You know, flashes of that, especially in the end sequence when, you know, Wendy encounters a lot of what has happened to the hotel or happened within the hotel in the past. You know, those flashes of sort of past elements, they could have been added in, but it's a kind of like a minor detail, so it's fine. And you know, the ending of the book was very drastically changed in the film, or for the film, but nevertheless I think that works. The ending that we got resonates with the film and it works with the film, so I don't really mind the drastic change. I definitely think that fans of the book will probably be like, what the hell happened, when they watch the film. But nevertheless, if we take the film The Shining on its own, it's a fantastic film, and I don't think the fact that it changes itself from the book so much really matters. Did Stanley Kubrick run a little bit wild? Probably. He took control of the story and did it in his own way, but I think it worked. And even though he may have gone a little bit far from changing it from the book, it definitely worked for me, and it still remains one of my favourite films of all time. And it's a great film to watch, I think, if you kind of want more. Well, it depends on what scares you, but I always think of it as a tame horror, because I've never really been scared by it. But it's such an enjoyable film, and it's definitely one that I would recommend anybody to watch. You should definitely watch it. It's a classic horror movie, so I think any horror fans, it's essential for you. And if I had to give it a rating, I'd probably give it 5 out of 5 stars, just because I love it so much. And I think as a film on its own, it's terrific, it's entertaining, it's chilling, it's got everything. It's got a fantastic score. And one thing that I forgot to mention, one of my favourite elements of this film, which wasn't in the book but is a fantastic representation of Stanley Kubrick's sort of hanging on the visual, is the photo at the very end. And I won't really expressively tell you what that's all about, because you might not have seen it, but I would just mention the photo at the end, because that definitely provokes some thought and is very creepy, for me anyway. And I think it's a great visual touch, and I think that's what Stanley Kubrick brings to this this story and this movie, and it still remains, in my opinion, one of the best horror movies of all time. You might think differently to that. You can always comment below with your opinions of the movies that I review, but my thoughts for this movie are extremely positive. And with that, that's my take on The Shining, and I hope to see you guys in the next review. Bye!